Hello everybody, Austin Hill Shaw, founder of Creativity Matters and author of The Shoreline of Wonder on being creative. So today we're going to talk about the origins of the creator's cheat sheet. The origins of the creator's cheat sheet. And I want to give you a sense of the depth of information and study and exploration and raw experience that has gone into creating this simple one-page, two-sided document with everything that you need to know in order to be a creator, in order to activate your creativity. Now again, my defining messages, my most important message is that creativity is not a gift to certain individuals and not others. It is a defining trait of what it means to be human. And the creator's cheat sheet is there to assist you in activating your creativity in whatever it is that you choose to do. The origins of the creator's cheat sheet come from a book that I wrote over an 8-year period from 2004 to 2012. A book entitled The Shoreline of Wonder on Being Creative. The Shoreline of Wonder on Being Creative. And the Shoreline of Wonder was really a labor of love. It's only 200 pages in length, but I probably wrote thousands of pages in creating it. And I want to let you know that, again, I tried to set out in order to understand what this thing was called creativity. And the origins really of the creator's cheat sheet came from the time when I was in architecture school, where architecture school, especially architectural graduate school, is notorious for being quite difficult, requiring a lot of time, a lot of effort. Architecture students are kind of those folks that stay up all night trying to finish their projects and get them ready for what are called juries, where there's an evaluation by the peers or by the teachers or by visiting architects. And I kind of liked that rigor, I must say. But at the same time, even though that was sort of the norm, I was even on the extreme of that. I mean, I slept at school a lot. And I did so because I was really into the creative process. And when I got an assignment, I wanted to explore everything that was in there. However, sometimes I'd notice, sometimes I would get an idea or an insight and I would kind of start moving along in a certain direction. And that felt really great when I was in that space of flow, of inquiry. But then there's other times where I felt blocked. I felt totally stuck and I felt like I didn't know where to go next. And I'd watch my fellow classmates, my peers, moving forward with their ideas, and it would just make me feel worse and worse about myself. So that sort of push-pull relationship, again, between the ecstasy and the agony, sent me into a period of inquiry. And that period of inquiry, again, I started to explore between the time of 2004 and 2012. And to be honest, I still explore to this day. But during that time, I wrote The Shoreline of Wonder. And the title is really telling about what I concluded about creativity. It comes from a Methodist minister who said, "The larger the island of knowledge, the longer the shoreline of wonder." Again, the larger the island of knowledge, the longer the shoreline of wonder. And the importance of that as it relates to creativity is that we live in the so-called age of information, where we think if we have more information at a faster speed, we're going to be better off. And that's true to some extent. You know, internet, smartphones, all those things have made information available at an unprecedented rate, right? But the problem with that is that we're often overwhelmed with that information too, or we're stuck within information. And it might be information, for example, about the news, or it might even just be the information about what our friends are doing on Facebook, okay, or Instagram. And that we're constantly bombarded by other people's experiences, or even advertisements and things of that sort. But the key to being a creator, in my exploration, is that we need to figure out how to take breaks. We need to get out of that sense of doing and consuming and just, constantly being in a state of taking on information and move back into that space of simply being, Because this place of simply being is the space of creative insight. As modern human beings, most of us err on the side of doing, right? We tend to be slaves to our to-do list, Or we tend to think if I could just get more done, I'm going to be a better person for whatever reason. But the real trick to all of this is that we want to understand that actually our most profound messages, our most profound senses of direction, our most profound creative insights come from periods where they were either intentionally or are forced to stop what we're doing. For example, traumas and injuries are times by which people reevaluate their lives. They reevaluate what they're actually trying to do, what's meaningful to them. Sometimes it's accompanied with birth and death, okay? Those are also times where people contemplate and see the real fragility and miraculousness of life that they often go unnoticed when, again, they're just sort of comparing themselves on the constant news feed that is either coming through CNN or the stock reports or even their own Facebook page. The Shoreline of Wonder was an attempt to get beyond that, to figure out, one, how can we cultivate those real experiences of insight, okay? And then two, when we go to manifest those insights, when we actually engage in the process of doing, how can we do it in a way so that we do not feel like hamsters on a hamster wheel? That as we're bringing forth our creative insights, that we continue to feel that sense of connectedness that comes from those aha moments. And finally, what about the space in between? The space between the passive experience of something coming to us and the activity of bringing that out into the world, what I like to call self-expression, which is also known as creative flow. How can we cultivate more of that in our lives? Because I know from my own experience, and I know from my conversation with countless others, being in the zone, being in the space of creative flow is where it's at. We want to be there the majority of our lives and not have it as some exception to what we're doing. The Shoreline of Wonder is another resource by which you can start to better understand your abilities of creators. And I did my best in order to make it not only informative, but full of really interesting stories. I used one of the most famous scientists in the history of the world in order to explain the mystical experience of creative insight. I used a pair of artists, installation artists, and their phenomenal project they did in Northern California in the 1970s to explain what it means to manifest and create really big, impactful projects. And I used a religious scholar, a man named Houston Smith, who wrote The World's Religions, his life to explain what's it like to actually self-express. What does it look like to have an opportunity and live a life that is full of self-expression? So that is a resource. The Shoreline of Wonder, you can find it on Amazon.com, and it is a great resource. People who have read it come back to me and say, I had no idea that this was possible, that I could look at life from this creative lens, and that, you know, it's made sense for a lot of different people there, okay? So one of the reasons that I created the Creator's Cheat Sheet so we could distill that, because I know you have very busy lives. So if you don't have time to read a book, totally get that. Just study the Creator's Cheat Sheet. It's an amazing resource. Now, for those of you who want to go even further still, who want not only written exercises and reading, but who also like graphics, who also like this format of talking, of communicating, and even accountability calls and things of that sort, I have something called the Ultimate Creativity Empowerment Course. The Ultimate Creativity Empowerment Course, which is an online course dedicated to helping you fully be expressed as a creator. Again, this draws upon the best of what's in the Shoreline of Wonder, the best of what's in the Creator's Cheat Sheet, and brings it even further out, bringing in specific practices that you can do on the level of body, mind, and spirit, and for all sorts of, and across the different spectrums of science and technology, art and business, and spirituality and religion, in order so that you can activate the full spectrum of who you are as a creator. And if you're interested in that, there's a link below this where you can start to get more information on the Ultimate Creativity Empowerment Course. At the time I'm recording this, it's still in the process of development. However, if you put your name on the list, I will keep you abreast of what is going on in order to bring that to fruition. That has been an over year in the making. Again, it's based on this over decade-long research of what we can do to make you feel more inspired, more activated, more on fire as a creator. And again, the reason I'm so dedicated to understanding creativity and figuring out frameworks by which I can convey how to be a more, how should we say, realized creator in your own life is because I know, one, that you can apply it to anything what you're doing. You can apply it to parenting, you can apply it to creating a business plan, you can apply it to time management, you can apply it to decorating your house, you can apply it to your sense of purpose and meaning in your life. You can apply it across the board. So wouldn't it be amazing to have like a Swiss Army knife that you could use in all situations of your life? That's precisely why I love and am dedicated to creativity. As time goes on, I'm going to be bringing forth something called the Innovators Bootcamp, which is not only going to talk about creativity, but it's going to show how it relates to innovation. Now, again, kind of like creativity, a lot of people have some misconceptions about what innovation is. And in my experience, innovation is fruitional creativity, okay? Innovation is fruitional creativity. Means we cannot be innovators without understanding creativity, okay? And all of us are creative, even though none of us are all of us activists. All of us are creators, but only some of us will aspire to be true innovators. That is bringing new products, services, and ways of being that benefit us all at the cultural level. Finally, if there's anything else that you want to see, are there any questions that you have, please put those down in the area below this. I am constantly wanting to learn and to improve myself as a teacher and a trainer on creativity, because that is what my life's mission is about. I'm here in this world to empower others as creators, and that means you. So again, this is Austin Hill Shaw, founder of Creativity Matters and author of The Shoreline of Wonder and inventor of The Creator's Cheat Sheet, reminding you to connect deeply, to make a difference, and to inspire creativity in others. Thank you so much for spending time with me.